Look, ladies, I want to be clear. If anything in government is going to change, if we're going to protect our hair, our kids, our lives, it starts with a vote. So join Citizen She and 491Rosalie Productions to detangle the vote and squad up.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to day 4 of Detangling the Vote. It's Nia Weeks from Citizen She and Citizen She United, and so excited that you all have been with us the last 4 days. And we had some amazing Black women on here talking about some amazing topics around Black women's hair. We've had Professor Wendy Green, who you heard on Monday and yesterday, talk about all the work and research she's done behind the C.R.O.W.N Act. We had the 2 illustrious Black women, Leila and Delilah, who actually put the C.R.O.W.N Act together and got it passed in California State Legislature. That was an incredibly beautiful conversation that we had yesterday. And Tuesday, we had a girl party on Tuesday, and we had some wonderful, incredible women. We had Gia Hamilton and Joya Cryer-Perry. You know, we had just women from the SCLU. I can't even say things right because I'm so excited tonight because we are moving away from the girl party. And ladies, we are having the gentlemen come today. And I am so excited because this group of men, you know, there are so many times and so many conversations that I've been in that people are like, where are the Black men? And why aren't they, you know, where's the backbone and the support and love? And, you know, reality is that I got them, I found them. And so I'm gonna bring up these incredible gentlemen and we're gonna have a conversation about Black women's beauty, Black women's hair, and the history of how Black women have been holding it down in Black community since the beginning of time, right? And so the very first person that I'm gonna bring up is my dear friend. You know, you all have seen this work this entire week. The videos, all of the docu-series, the infomercials, everything, the production that we've been doing this entire time. You've heard me talk about 491Rosalie Productions. I am really excited to bring up its creative director, Damian D. Smith. One of the things that I find so wonderful about you, Damian, is that you and I will talk. I'll give like, you know, I'm like, I think, you know, this is an idea. And you bring this beautiful image to life. And I'm so grateful for all the work that you've done and, you know, everything that you've been with Citizen She. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate being able to use our creative efforts in to advance a cause and issues that we believe in, and partnering with Citizen She to get things like, especially, you know, detangling the vote out and ready to rock and roll is exactly on mission statement for what we would like to do over at 49110. Give a voice to the voiceless and engage the people.
Absolutely. Thank you. And that's exactly why we chose, you know, this partnership has just been incredible.
Okay.
All right, we're going to bring some more friends up. Okay, so you all get to see us every Sunday, 11 o'clock. I always win every argument and every conversation because, you know, I can. Isaac Williams. And I will tell you, besides being my friend and co-host with Parlay the Morning After, Isaac also runs Isaac, I can never say it right. Tell them what it's called. What am I trying to say, Isaac?
You're talking about Black Friday Business Initiatives.
I'm talking about Black Friday.
Yeah. So that's what I
tell them what Black Friday does, Isaac. Let them know what you do on Fridays with Black Friday.
So Black Friday Business, the purpose and the reason for it is to galvanize the Black community, to support Black-owned businesses every Friday, and to identify those Black-owned businesses with this decal to let them know that this business is one that supports Black-owned businesses, that they have good products, good services, and they give back to the community.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Isaac. So, you know, one thing that I do, both of you all, I love Black people. I love Black people so much. And you know who really loves Black people? Sinclair Skinner. Because Sinclair Skinner loves Black people. Also like this creative genius, right? Like BitMari, which is a digital currency company. Let me tell you, like Sinclair, I don't know much about digital currency, but like BitMari just sounds sexy as heck. And so it just makes me want to learn everything about digital currency. Welcome to be here.
I appreciate even having the opportunity to share this. And I think the I Love Black People mission It's powered by technology. We're building something like the Green Book, where Black people were protected from being harmed and humiliated from racism. And we made it a digital thing that is global. So our focus is on Black-owned and Black-friendly businesses. I think one of the misnomers, people falsely think that the Green Book was a Black business directory. It wasn't. It literally was not about recirculating the dollar. It was really about making sure we didn't get murdered. And I think one of the things that we don't realize is that we're really dealing with genocide. This is not racism. We're being killed. And if we don't create systems, programs, or use technology to protect each other, we can be a millionaire and they'll just massacre us in a Black Wall Street like they did in Tulsa. So it's not just enough to talk about money. We're not going to out-money ourselves out of pandemic. We're not going to out-money or out-degree ourselves out of being tortured and humiliated. We have to take affirmative action to protect ourselves, our sisters, our communities, and that has no price. That's priceless. So the value that we have as human beings will never be based on what amount of money we have in our pockets.
I couldn't have said that better, Sinclair. Thank you for that. That I love you centering that around that, and I love the work that you're doing. I appreciate you so much. All right, ladies. Can you feel the love tonight? I can. And and I'll tell you why. I get to share this wonderful screen with a Broadway actor who plays Simba on Lion King. Andre Jackson, welcome to the stage here, our stage.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I won't make you wait.
I appreciate that. I'm taking a little break from Broadway right now, but I'm excited to be here with you guys talking about this really important topic. Like every movement that we are forced to undergo, conversation starts within our own community. And so us getting together to talk about, strategize, understand the different points of view that exist even within our community is important, because we have to organize and we have to fight for what we believe in. We can't depend on anyone else to do it for us. So I think conversations like this are really important, and I'm excited to be here and to listen and to learn.
Thank you. So I appreciate you saying that today. We talked about that in Parlay the other day about Black men listening, hearing us for what we have to
Excuse me, Neil, right as you said about Black men. If you would just check your mic for a second, I think we may be Neil? Okay, so it's not you. We just checking. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm like, for this one, like, of course, I'm here. It's like, I've been having all these troubles all day, but that's okay, because I really am excited about having this conversation. I think the first thing that I would love everyone to hear is what Black women mean to you, right? I want to start that off, just right off, Joe, when we talk about the history of Black women in community, how Black women show up in the home, how Black women show up for each other, but for Black men too. Like, what do Black women mean to you in your lives? I'm gonna start with you, Sinclair, because you got, I know you got something to say. I know you got it.
All right. What had happened was, Black women do everything. I think Black women, they tell the story about Adam and Eve. That just lets you know it had to be a man right now, because it makes no sense that a human being comes from a rib when there's a perfectly well-appropriate, anatomically designed place where another human being comes from, and that's the womb of a woman. So I'm clear that God and a woman have to work hand in hand to make sure all of us got here. Men didn't come from men, they came from women. So literally all of us come from a woman. So if we don't understand the value of literally the gestation period of 9 months of a woman holding us and keeping us safe for 9 months, the least we can do, because we can't pay back, the pay forward is to make sure our sisters are safe and given the proper respect and regards to do that. And so, again, I'm just so grateful to come from a Black woman, and that I definitely see that as something that we as Black men cherish. the Breonna Taylor situation lets you know a black man was willing to shoot the damn police for his woman. So that just tells you black men aren't a joke, they're not a game, and literally this brother was ready to give it up for his woman when he thought he was being attacked, and to make sure his sister was protected. And she lost her life, but he was trying to defend her. So I think that story of black manhood is definitely prescribed by what women are. And I think my last little thing would be that so often we as men, unfortunately, have been taught our masculinity in the context of the slave master. So instead of us trying to actually act out what manhood is, we're trying to imitate a white supremacist manifestation, a colonial master's manifestation of masculinity, which was very domineering, destructive, and very, patriarchal and very harmful. I think our true manhood, if we go beyond the 500 years of enslavement, colonialism, the African diaspora is probably one of the few where you can actually, from the beginning of history, see the black woman playing a proper role. If you go to Greek history, you can't name one woman Greek philosopher. That tells you the culture of the Greeks and what they thought of women. But from day one, you can always see the significant role of matriarchal societies in Africa, and that is something we gave the world, full stop.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Like I felt that deep, and yeah. We're gonna chat a little bit more after this, Sinclair. We're about to be friends because I just that perspective. Andre, before we started doing this, you and I were chatting a little bit, and you were telling me about you taking your sister's kids for a little bit during COVID. What I heard when you said that was you gave your sister rest, and that meant something. What do Black women mean to you, Andre?
I mean, Black women have always been holding it down for cultures for as long as history has been recorded. I grew up in a house full of women. My father wasn't around. I was raised by my grandmother, my aunt, my sister. So I had an opportunity to see not just the strength of the Black woman, but the struggles. And I think our responsibility as Black men, I think we've been told our responsibility is to just provide in a financial and a fiscal sense, a material sense. But even more importantly, we have to be there to provide for emotional and mental support, because the Black women go through it. They go through it in every way imaginable, in many ways that we don't even know about. Sometimes all we can do is just be there for support, just to be there to be a source of strength, a source of encouragement, and help in any way we can. And that's what I was doing with my sister. My sister has 4 boys, and they're home just like a lot of other boys and a lot of kids are right now with the COVID crisis. And she didn't ask me to take the boys, but I could hear it in her voice that she needed me. And so, I just providing that sense of relief. That's just one small way that we can help out. That we can be there and show up in a way that it's not immediately thought of when you think of support.
I love that. And I know she's so grateful to have you. I know my brother does the same for me, and my gratitude is immense. Isaac, besides fighting with me every Sunday, and watching me win, you are also the father of 2 beautiful boys. And I watch how you interact and how they react to you. They call you Abba. They've never called him dad or daddy. They call him Abba. And you and I talked about why they call you Abba and what that means to you. What do the Black women mean to you, Isaac?
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this panel. And I'm hoping I'm coming in clear. But my children call me Abba because, we first started when they were first born. I was a part of the Hebrew faith, and it was a name that means that give full competence of what you are to a child. You're just not a person, a physical body is there. You're there to enlighten. You're there to bring awareness and guide them throughout their life. But my comments I want to talk about is these beautiful Black women. And one of the things you and I talked about was the supreme cast that you typically have on your show that I'm always humbled to see. Even though I destroy you on the parlay show, you know, I sometimes you got to be down on the Black woman when it comes to, you know, that's what happens when you're in the intellectual battle. I got you, Nia. But honestly, what Black women have done for me, I was raised by a single Black mother like Brother Jackson. And I've seen her take on not only her 5 children, but every child in the neighborhood receive a mother's attention, a mother's care, and a mother's love. And not only did I have that in my own circle, the women that surround me today, including yourself, Nia, my sisters, and anyone else, they have always shown the epitome of God. They've never shown anything less than God. And that nurturing spirit is the thing that always fueled the community, not just on the nurturing side, but nurturing through wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So Black women, for me, have always been the epitome of God.
I can't.
Neil, you're muted. Neil, you're muted.
Me. I told you, there's people who want to mute me all the time. I talk a whole lot. When I met Damien, he was wearing a Stand With Black Women shirt. And it was from that moment that I was like, that's a good dude. But in our friendship, since I've known you, you have a lot of women that are around you. And the way you support and love them, from Isla the Gangster, right, all the way to Marlena and all these beautiful women that are in your circle that hold you down, but you hold them down unapologetically. And I love watching that. What do Black women mean to you, Dave?
Let me say what a Black woman means. You know what it is? Where it comes from is, you know, again, I was raised by my grandparents majority of the time. So my grandmother was a very strong woman in the neighborhood, and not even just the neighborhood, the community, and in St. Louis. So she was my first teacher, and when it comes to civil engagement, civic engagement, and knowing how to maneuver around, you know, obstacles that you come up with if you're doing something if you're doing the work for the people. So I learned from an early age from Black women, and they have taught me how to maneuver in life. I just think back, every substantial, you know, achievement in my life, or everything that I can benchmark, has been underwritten by a Black woman, or has always been supported by and has helped me get over that hump in some way, shape, form, or fashion. From the inception of me. So I am geared to protect, nourish, and provide for Black women of all aspects. Women in general, but Black women in particular, because that is what I am trained to be and trained to go from my grandmother. Because, you know, she was very dominant when it came to like the order of things and making sure that we as men did what we were supposed to do. No matter what the situation is, we have a job. Everyone has a job. Everyone has a task. Everyone has a role to play in this situation. And she wanted to make sure all her boys knew their role in this life and act accordingly. And that's what, you know, that's how I was introduced and came into this world, and it's a mentorship and the intelligence that I was able to witness and flourish from, because I'm an observer. I learn through watching and experiences, and that's what my grandmother provided me, and that's what women provided me throughout everything. Even when I moved to New York and I moved to LA and I moved these places not knowing people, really there were, you know, you had your buddies, you got your friends, your guys, but that space where you don't feel comfortable or want to talk or even want to land on a male friend, sometimes a woman is there just to got your back. and she's there, easier for you to talk to, and that's that lubrication to help, you know, those situations that you may not, your own immature ego might not allow you to step out and say something, but women have that beautiful instinct to be able to watch, observe, and be like, all right, I know what you need, even if you don't know what you need. So that's, again, that's with that being said, and I know that's why I'm always playing my position and my role in this situation. And also for us as people, we need to always protect our women. There we go.
I love that. Thank you for that. You know, and I love how each of you brought up the idea of protection. And we're going to get to the Black woman's hair in a little bit. But, you know, Breonna Taylor, Sinclair, thank you for bringing her up. You know, we felt some kind of way as a community when she was murdered. And we felt some kind of way as a community when we recognized that her killers were not going to be brought to justice. Black women felt that really heavy because we were like, okay, is the world not going to explode, right? Like, where's the, you can't do this to our women and girls. And there was a little bit of pain that there wasn't that overwhelming response. However, the Black men in my circle did. And I got to have a reprieve different than a lot of my friends because, you know, Damien has been posting about it constantly, more so even than me. You know, Isaac and I have been talking about it constantly. You know, Sinclair, you brought it up. Andre, you know, so I would love for you each to give like your thoughts on what does it mean to protect Black women? What is it? So, you know, we feel the need to feel protected by Black men in our space. And, you know, and I know you guys have some thoughts and stories around that. And I would love to give that offering to Black women this evening. I'm gonna start with you, Andre. A little reprieve right now. Get his. I'm gonna start with you, Andre.
Unmute your mic, Andre. There we go.
All right, is that better?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. I think that Black women, as I said a little while ago, you know, they seem to be always under attack. I mean, Black people in general in this country, especially. But oftentimes, the devaluing of life of the Black woman is front and center so often that the Black women in my life have said to me over and over again that they feel like their lives among all lives are the least that are the ones that matter least. And that feeling of evaluation was just on display, a loud and bright display when Breonna's killers, because that's what they were, weren't brought to justice. Yeah. And I think it's just one more lash on the back of the Black woman where you feel completely defenseless. So the very least that I can do as a Black man, and I think Black men in general can do, is to stand up and protect our sisters, to say, you're not in this fight alone. I see you, I'm here with you, and I'll take the lashes for or with you. Yeah. Because, you know, when you see something like that, I mean, how can you not walk around in fear for your own life? And you wonder, if my life is taken, does it even matter? Yeah. Does anyone even care? And we should be the loudest voices as Black men to say, yes, it does matter.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I really, really appreciate that. Sinclair, I see that pensive look in your face, and I can feel it behind your eyes. What say you, Sinclair?
Unmute yourself, Sinclair. Mute. Sinclair, you muted.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Yes,
is that better? I probably was just gibberish before anyway. Now I got my head right. You know, my parents are still married. I was raised, my mom and dad been married over 52 years. And my dad always was there for my mother and made sure she was safe. When I think of strength, I think of my father when I think of love and passion, I think of my mom. So when I hear the words strong and that, my mom was the first person I fell in love with. I thought my mom was like, you know, the most beautiful. Like that was what I saw. Because my dad was the one who came home with the belt. If you don't get that done, your daddy gonna come. So in that dynamic, my mom was a teacher and someone I looked up to, but my dad was a disciplinarian. My mom was like the confidant and the one you fell in love with. Like literally, when I thought, like the things my mom did were what I thought women did. Like my mom didn't drink beer. So literally, this is how bizarre my mind was. I thought men drank beer because my dad drank Blue Bull. He drank Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull. And my mom might have a little wine, a little pina colada. So literally in my mind, that was what women did. My mom's legs were, she didn't shave her legs. So I thought women didn't shave their legs. I mean, everything about my mom became the prototype of womanhood. And it was really those things. My mom cooked. She was a housewife. She was a nurturer. So the sense of protecting was really like visceral in the sense that I think marrying Black women might be one of the best things to do to protect them. I mean, I'm not trying to, I know that sounds like, this guy, what do you mean you got to be married? No, and I'm a late bloomer. I literally got married like just 2 days ago. So as old as I am, you know what I'm saying? I'm a late bloomer and I am so happy to be married. And I lived a very toxic life for a lot of it, really. And so I at least get a chance to redeem and to do better because I literally have a household where, you know, I'm here for my wife. And I think like Brother Jackson and others said, it's more than just money. It's really an emotional thing. My dad was kind of like a rock. Mm. Sure, things were there, but my mom made this life worth living. Like my dad made the living. But what made it so amazing, that gave me my spiritual understanding, made sure we were ready for Sunday school, that the one who gave me the sense of compassion. My dad didn't say, I love you. My dad said, I'm proud of you. My mom was the one who said, I love you. So I'm just saying, I think sometimes we put women in roles where they got to play all these roles, which is fair, because y'all are amazing. I think one of the things that we can do is, again, know that we don't want you to always have to go through all that. You know, to describe our woman as strong and she's powerful, that's cool. I think, again, no trying to do the gender rule. Well, I also want y'all to be, you know, told that you're beautiful, that you're amazing, and you're just dynamic. And I think what they've done to try to emasculate us, to lock us up in prison, is so that we can't be there. They literally make it so that, like we brought up Brianna, when I heard it said Black women's lives matter, I think that's true. But I think people try to play games between Black men and Black women where literally her man was willing to shoot somebody for her. And he was willing, that's the extent he would go. Instead of us talking about that, we single her by herself and don't talk about her in context. She was in a relationship with a man that was willing to defend her. We don't talk about that. We just talk about her as she was literally by herself, which is just not factually correct. And then say what happened to her in a vacuum as if the Black man wasn't present. And all I'm trying to say, he was emasculated. They kill his woman, his mate, and then they try to, you know, threaten him to tell him if he don't go along with this, they're gonna give him a sentence. And he said, I'm not gonna lie on my woman. My woman will lie on me and I ain't gonna lie on her. But we don't hear that. We keep getting this one-sided story. And part of white supremacist ideology has always been about divide and rule. They will divide us to rule us. If that's a tribe, if that's in our own family and genders. So now we're like, well, what about the sister? Of course, the brother shot. I mean, what? Besides, you know, hell, I don't. What is like? Why didn't they? Anyway, my point is, I think that emasculating and making us as Black men, we have to provide other means to protect our community. And I think the experiment of integration has failed, and we just need to admit that. And now I'm older than y'all. I'm a Generation X, 51 years old. But my parents were born, I'm sure yours too, into a world that was segregated. It was legal to discriminate against us. Our parents believed, and my parents from St. Louis too, who I go, all these, Cochrane projects, these are all places where Black folks were created for us to live. We thought if we would send our children to these integrated schools, that this system would somehow repay us by bringing America together. But instead, my generation came of age in '87, and that was when the crack epidemic came. So in reality, this system said, in return for us, in good faith, giving our children, we're going to respond with mass incarceration and drug epidemics that literally took my generation. People smarter than me, better than me, are no longer here because this system literally destroyed them. My older brother has spent most of his time in and out of institutions, and my brother was smarter than me. Yeah. So I'm just saying that there's so much that they do to us as men to emasculate us, to destroy us, to put our women in positions that just aren't humane. That one person shouldn't be expected to do all these things. And then we're left as someone that has to endure that along with our sisters as somebody who's impotent, being dominated by someone else. And I'm telling you, psychologically, to be impotent is problematic. And I think our response should be creating our own systems, just like we're doing right now with the programming. We're creating our own content, we're creating our own communications, our own narratives, our own way to communicate. And now we have technology that allows us to do that. So we should take control of our own school systems. We can now do that. Our own, again, information entertainment system. Damien, what you guys are doing is doing that. Our own healthcare. We don't need to wait for someone to give us a vaccine. My business partner told me in Africa, he's from Zimbabwe, how the first vaccines were when someone was sick from a disease, they would take the saliva from that sick person and share it with everybody else. And that saliva of the sick person, that would inoculate everybody else. Now the pharmaceuticals can't get rich from that, because that's literally taking that saliva. But my point is, there's no money in that, but it literally might be the best way to keep some. And these are some of the tactics methods that were used by our people. But now we can actually not even go back. We can now elevate those things that we already use, leveraging technology and not being a silo. If they're doing that in Zimbabwe, we can use that here. And if you're doing that in LA, they can do that in Kampala, Uganda. And now we can build a community that transcends these fake divisions, and we can be who we're supposed to be. We're 1.5 billion people. Black people are the size of China. There's no reason we need to wait for everything. We have everything we need in this generation, full stop.
Yes. Oh, yes. Every bit of that. I'm giving all the snaps and the claps and all that, Sinclair, because yes, I completely agree. Like owning our own stuff and being in our own space. Exactly. Damien, one of the things that informs me about your spirit is that the women around you feel safe when they're with you, and they trust you with every piece of them. And it lets me know that, as you navigate the world and you're touching people, that you're also bringing this level of safety and protection, especially with Black women. Can you talk to us a little bit about what protection with Black women means to you?
It's funny because also I'm going to kind of touch on what Sinclair. I love talking to Sinclair, man, because that's my OG. That's who I call him. Like, hey man, let me tell you what you think it is. And he gives you a perspective where he steps back and gives you the landscape, and then he zeroes in on the issue that you're talking about, which is cool. So we gotta, my brothers and sisters, we always, especially when we're speaking about men, you gotta have someone in your life that have a little more gray in their beard than you do, that you can call and have a conversation with. That's all I'm saying. And to answer that question, Nia, because it kind of piggybacks on what he was saying, in protection of our women and protection of our society in total, because let's not forget our society is included in the society of America. And if that's not nurtured and protected and able to grow, then society it has an ill. All right, so you just make sure that we're all on the same page. But to kind of circle back and touch on what Sinclair was speaking about, and one reason I am so protective and where it comes from as well, I have to take about what I spoke about earlier, my role. My role is also knowing what's happening and why we're in this situation, and know the best way to be able to provide some level of protection or a level of understanding, which is protection, where you can navigate through some things that you don't see that is directly a response to what we're dealing with. But if you know what you're dealing with, you have a little more patience to deal with a situation. And so when I talk, to take it back, kind of use one how Sinclair, his oratory skills. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. So when it comes to we have to look at how it affected us when Bush and Reagan and the crack epidemic and you cannot get any type of governmental assistance if there's a male in the home, and the targeted efforts of getting men out of the house. That's a real thing. That's a real issue. And so when you do that, you leave a woman to have to fill all roles, and also the role of let me hide my guy when these people come around. There were actual people that would come and check to see if a man was in the house. And if a man was in the house, you were not going to get whatever assistance you may need to send your children to school or feed or cover, the basic elements of what humans need: shelter, food, warmth, clothing. You would not have access to that if you had a man. And it was and these policies were targeted towards the African American community during the time of the crack epidemic that was unleashed onto the African American community. And let's not forget about the Contras. Let's not forget about Ollie North. These are documented things. I'm not pulling these things out of the air. These are documented things. So we all know that this documented effort to attack our communities was targeting our communities, and it was to separate and divide. Kind of go back to what the brother was saying, remove us, to separate us so we can target in on our family structure. So with that being said, with the separation and the targeting, then who we have, who is the most vulnerable in this situation? Our women. Our women are there raising the children, raising our boys, raising our women, raising our little girls. Also, they're providing the elements and with, the shelter, the warmth. And then they also have to navigate with their man to kind of what Sinclair was saying and what Andres, the demasculation, which I don't kind of like saying that word, but to say the circumstance that we were under and we had to move up under. So with all that being said, I grew up under that, seeing that, recognizing that. So when I came of age, and seriously, at like 11 or 12, my grandma and my family, it was like, oh, you're a little man, crack jokes and things like that. But what I was recognizing is that we got to protect our women. We got to protect our aunts, our cousins, our nieces. Because I saw, what I did recognize is that every woman doesn't have what my grandmother has. She has the intelligence and the strength and the speed of knowledge and the history to combat a lot of things, but everyone doesn't. And then I might even just be making the superhero thing in my head that she was Superwoman that can do everything because she's my grandmother. But I just know she did some amazing things, but everyone is not in that place. So again, my role is to make sure the people that are not in that place and the people that don't have those resources and tools to know what you're fighting up against, they're protected. They have, and then I provide whatever knowledge I can pass over to you, and I can give you whatever up under my protection or up under anything I can do. I will provide what I can, but I can take the arrows and the bullets and whatever the situation is, but that's what it's going to be. And we're not going to perpetuate this cycle from the Ollie Norths and the Reagans and the Bushes that attacked my generation that I know firsthand. So you'll be protected. Even is at a point where I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm able to sacrifice a little bit of myself to protect the masses. And that's what we have to do.
I appreciate that so much. And one thing that I appreciate that you all recognize is that, when we were talking to the women yesterday, I asked them each to say, what does dream world look like for Black women? And what they said and what resonated was for the ability to be soft, to the ability to be calm, to be, to hold that space. And so I appreciate you all saying that and recognizing that as a necessity. One of the things that I appreciate, and I'm going to talk about the work that you've done with us, Damien. We put together docuseries around Black women's hair, which is like the precipice for this whole entire week. And one of the things that I appreciate about you, as Black women, we see ourselves in a particular way, right? And it's all that has been informed by society, that's been informed by our families. And there are moments that we don't feel our full beauty. However, I've come to learn that sometimes men see us a little bit differently than we see ourselves. And one of the things I appreciate with the docuseries and the videos, with Gus Bennet's photography and the photographs that he takes, is it brings out a different kind of beauty than I would have seen in myself. And the beauty of Black women through the lens of Black men is something that resonates deeply with me. And I know it's something that resonates deeply with Black women across the board. Damien, I would love for us to play the love letter that we sent to Black women today. Every Thursday, we do love letters to Black women. I get Black women across the board to write a letter. It was actually Isaac's sister that wrote a poem and gifted us with her poem. And we were able to put that poem together with Gus Bennett's photos, together with beautiful imagery of Black women in New Orleans during Mardi Gras, and put together this beautiful film and documentary short about Black women's hair. And so can we roll that, Damien?
If you can hear my voice, the stories she would tell. My bush dances to the rhythm of our ancestors. You might call them lands. My hair not defines me, but it's like a symbol for like who I am as a person. It shows that I'm proud. I can be, it's versatile, so I can do just about anything. My bush stands tall, like a beanie Rosa inherited.
My hair gives me courage. My hair allows me to be who I am.
My bush reminds me that I am a queen like Coretta. Us queens are the only ones with strands like these.
Be free to be whoever you want to be, and color. Like I'm in color now because I love the color purple and it's royal, and I want to feel I'm important. I'm beautiful in whatever state my hair is, whether it's going white or it stays purple or red or whatever color that I choose. That you shouldn't judge someone by your hair.
Good, bad, indifferent, judgment, non-judgment, nothing stops me from being my authentic self. And I pride myself for showing up in spaces as my authentic self, because it's a very brave thing to do. And I think it's something that women that look like me struggle with. And I want them to know that I'm the example of what it looks like to be yourself, even in the face of adversity.
When you see me, hair is all you see, but she is my crown, my crown, my crown that covers me. Oh, if you can hear my voice, the stories she would tell.
I love that so very much. Thank you for that. That's incredible. Thank you to Kiana Malone for that beautiful poem that she gifted us with. Thank you, Gus Bennett, for taking those beautiful pictures of those beautiful Black women. And thank you, Damien, and 491Rosalie Productions for putting it all together and giving us that gift that we were able to give Black women today as a love letter. in spite of everything, all the craziness that's out there, it was a gift of love to Black women from all of us. And so thank you for all of that. You know, I do want to take a moment to talk about that, right? Because that's why we're here. You know, we're talking about the crown. We're talking about Black women's hair. And we have talked about the politics of Black women's hair. We talked about the politics of navigating in Black feminine bodies, whatever that means to anybody. But we haven't really spent a whole lot of time talking about the beauty of Black women. And I want to hear from you guys your thoughts on the beauty that Black women encompass, how we show up. You know, like I said, there's something special about the way Black men see Black women. And, you know, we all through all the noise, we don't get to hear it a whole lot. And so Sinclair, I mean, you talked about falling in love with your mom, and I love that so much. And you know, I know you're a late bloomer, you know, so I know that you've been loving them Black women and been like, I like that one. What do you think about Black women's beauty, Sinclair?
Sinclair, you muted.
I think, thank you, Damon, humbly, thank you. I think, you know, of course, my context of what beauty is started with a Black woman. So that will always be the standard bearer or the, you know, the mark of, you know, of what beauty is. I think we as Black men have to do more to support that. I think I've traveled to over 60 countries in the world, and I think that a lot of what women do as it relates to their look and hair and other things that are done is to please, in some ways, men. And I think when we buy into a Eurocentric context of beauty, that harms our sisters' self-concept and harms our community as a whole. And again, my wife does have natural hair. She is dark skinned. I never wanted a European man ever think I want anything he has, ever want a piece, none of that. I'm clear. But that doesn't mean that sisters come in all shades. My mama light skin, my daddy dark skin, my sister. So I don't get into colorism, but I do say that we as Black men have a responsibility to uphold a standard of beauty that is a reflection of our community. And there's no hair in the world that defies gravity. Right? Again, I'm an engineer by profession. Literally, Black women's hair literally resists physics. I will not lay down. So I'm saying that it's not like that has to be God. That's not a coincidence. It has to be something behind the fact that everybody else's hair lay down. And again, there are some men who like, you know, women with the Chinese women's hair in it. Not knocking Chinese women beauty. That's just not my thing. I'm clear though that hair that will not come down with 9.8 meters per square per second squared bearing down on it from gravity. Right, sister, folks, that's amazing. So I think we have so much to celebrate about who we are. And there's a word that we use in this space called primacy or primacy. Like us being the first people means that we're the first civilized people. We are the ones who introduced civilization to the human race. So us being first is not just some factoid, but literally that means we did all those things like talk, communicate, farm, take a seed and put it in the ground. All of these things come from us. We then have an obligation, not just to the whole entire world, to make sure that we are there to be good stewards. And our hair, who we are, how we look is a reflection of how powerful we are as a people. And we must assume that role, not in some type of distorted Black supremacy, but God made all of us to contribute. And so we are already amazing. And I think by making sure we share the only people in the world with hair that defies physics, I mean, the least we can do is let people know how beautiful that is.
I love that. Yes, I love that. Andre, sorry. Sorry. I told you I'm a fangirl.
That's all right.
Fangirl.
It happens every day.
I'm just going to say that musical is beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I'm a fangirl a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Black women's beauty.
No, so am I. Yeah. Well, speaking of the Lion King, I happen to have the privilege of being in one of the only Black shows on Broadway. It's good. Our cast is almost completely made up of people of color, with very few exceptions. And that show is where our cast is always, for as long as I've been on Broadway, we're always ranked. Not that this should be how we measure ourselves, but we're always measured as one of the most beautiful casts on Broadway. And I think it's because of the diversity that exists within the Black culture. Our show celebrates Africa. We have all shades of Black folk in our show, from purple Black to light Black, yellow Black. We have hair that reaches toward the sky, and hair that lays down silky. And Black folk in our show. I see my cast members come in every day, and they come in, they leave one show, and then they come back the next day looking like a totally different person because of what Black women can do to their hair, based on what mood they're in, what they're feeling that day. They can add to it, they can take away, they can color it, they can shade it, and that sort of beauty and diversity, not just in a cast, but in an individual, is something I think that we should all celebrate. The world should celebrate it, like Sinclair was saying. It's really amazing. And many, many cultures continue to try to duplicate it, replicate it, but they can't, because it is something that's unique to Black culture. And I think that's why we take such ownership when we see people try to appropriate that, because our hair is more than just a style. It's a reflection of who we are as people and individuals. Disney just made a huge step. As a matter of fact, this summer, in one of the many calls we had during this whole coronavirus pandemic, where they've committed to having people of color in our hair department to not only help maintain our performers' hairstyles and stuff, but also to help teach them about keeping it healthy. And those people that they're hiring to do that, those hair care professionals, they're committing that they will be people of color as well. Because in a lot of times, especially in this business, whether you're on Broadway or you're in Hollywood, the person in charge of your hair is not a person who has hair like yours. So they have I've had people telling me to put mousse in my hair before, and I'm like, that's not going to work with me. That's all they know to do. So for Disney, and Disney is a very powerful company in entertainment, for them to take that step and make that commitment, it's huge. But back to the question of beauty, I find that Black women's hair is just a reflection of who they are as people, which is incredibly diverse and very expressive, and I love it. We should continue to celebrate it.
Thank you, Andre, so much for that. Damien, we have got to watch your vision of Black women's beauty all week. But talk about it. But how do you see Black women, and what does Black women's beauty mean to you?
For me, I love Black women. That's one thing. So I love the way that the hair comes out of your head. Either way, either shape, form, fashion, whichever way it go. But also, what I also enjoy is the levels of creativity that comes from from our sisters, and their level of expression. So if you want to shave this way, you want your hair going down to your back, down to your calves, and it's high yellow and high green, I'm good with that. As long as you're expressing yourself as an individual, and you want to, because you put the Bantu knots in, you want to do that as well, but maybe you can't even rock with all that. You need some support with that. I'm with that too. But as long as we're not trying to put across a standard of beauty that is not your own, that's why I have an issue with. So I know we're not talking about the issue, we're talking about the love, right? And I love natural hair. I'm one of those people that if your hair is, I express it. Is what I was brought up. It's not what I was brought up with when it came to like my aunts. A lot of them transitioned to that. But I just at the beginning, I never understood. I could never with a round net square peg to say this was an issue the way that your hair came out of your head. I never understood that. Mm-hmm. It never made sense. And things have to make sense for me to be able to get on board with it. If it doesn't make sense, or if I have a problem and it doesn't, it doesn't. Again, like what Sinclair said, coming from the engineering mind, that's how I get information, and the way I problem solve and critical think is from somewhat of an engineering background, and it just never made sense. And it made me feel a certain type of way, because if you are perming your hair to put across a perception of you that is not you, I feel like that is something that you are being forced to do. And it's sooner or later, it's a saying that my grandma used to say all the time, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but fakes break. You're going to break in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Mentally, it takes a toll. It's erosion. When you have to constantly alter your appearance to fit into a social standard or agenda, it's in some way you are going to have to pay for that. You might not know it consciously, that you're paying for it, that you're suffering some repercussions of you having to dim your light, but you're going to have to pay for it. So I'm an advocate of all of us just being who we are and advocating from the place of who you are, and then going out. And when it comes to like hair, that's right on pace. We should be able to represent our hair as we want to do it, and not put on a Eurocentric view of hair and use that as a prevailing culture to push forward in society, because you feel that's what you have to do to be what you want to be, a lawyer. See if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be anything in this levels of profession, and if you want to do something, whatever you want to do, you should not be held back because of how your hair grows out your head naturally. And then also your expressions of your hair. I can understand when there's like health conditions and things like that you have to do something about your hair, but outside those jobs, I don't understand why someone's hair is an issue, unless it's something that intimidates you. That's the only way that I can see that this makes sense. Mm-hmm. You feel intimidated. And then if you feel intimidated, then we have to go into that and why you're intimidated. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't want to have that conversation. So let's just let these people be who they want to be. So you ain't got to think about the stuff that's having an issue with you. So that's how I approach, and that's what the love that I have for Black women in their hair, because then it's super dope. I mean, the stuff that they've been doing is amazing. I appreciate my women so much, because I love how the hair comes and the twists and turns and ups and downs. It's all a plus for us. So yeah, and I will protect it by any means necessary.
That's real. I love that. Thank you so much for that. So gentlemen, we are getting close to time. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of homework real quick. It's gonna be quick homework, quick turnaround, all right? So we are entering election cycle, and election November 3rd. And the reverberation throughout the community is that, Black women gotta save America again, right? It's kind of what we do. And we're tired. We're so tired. I would love for each of you to give one sentence of encouragement for Black women as we're entering this space with this weight on our shoulders, with this okay, we know we got to do this thing, but also the policies don't reflect the things that we need. It's all the craziness. We know we got to do what we got to do to ensure that democracy, in whatever shape or form, allows us to navigate this world a little bit better for our children and our families, to move a little bit safer. What words of encouragement in one sentence can you all give to Black women today?
I'll let
you start.
I'll jump off first because they've been going, so I'll jump off first. Words of encouragement, one sentence. Thank you, Black women, for always being the load bearer and the person and the group that always have been the savior of society. Black women's heart has always been the savior of Black men, the savior of others, because the level of compassion as a community and a village that is embodied and that it is what a Black woman is. You can look at any neighborhood. Look at our neighborhood. Let's say the African American community. You can get someone that's not in the African American community comes in our neighborhood and live comfortably because Black women say, hey, that human being needs a place to stay, and y'all better not mess with it. I'm just saying this is just, oh, y'all need to make sure that this person feel comfortable and use their transition, whichever way it is, to get that person integrated in our society. I'm just saying, when Black women have always done everything to push us, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for always being the nation's conscience, because it is Black women who are definitely America's conscience, and it's the heartbeat. So thank you for always being there, and thank you for always being so dope.
Thank you. Thank you, Damian. Thank you for that. Andre Sinclair, which one of y'all want to go next?
I'm going last. I never got to go last.
Oh, Andre, you're up. Unmute yourself, sir.
There we go. All right. You know, man, these days, I think everybody's looking for words of encouragement. As you were talking, I thought about this meme that somebody sent me the other day. You may have seen it. There was a woman, and her hair was like all over the place. She was tired, and she was dealing with juggling all these different plates. And people were going, "Oh my God, you're so powerful." And she go, "Yeah, I'm tired. Can somebody help me out?" And they go, "No, your strength is amazing. You're like the mother of the earth. You're able to bring forth life." And she goes, "Yes, but I am exhausted. Please help me out." And they go, and the next response was, I worship you, and I think that you're great. Keep doing your thing, girl." So, I don't know if it's a word of encouragement, but what I would like to say is, I hear you. Because I think so often we just don't hear when people say, "I'm tired. I need help." We're so busy trying to give them what we think they need, which is a pat on the back. And sometimes they don't need a pat, like my sister with the kids. Sometimes they just need some help. So, I think what I would like to say is, I hear you.
I love that. That was spot on.
I should have gone.
Spot on, Andre. All right, Sinclair, bring it home.
I think one sentence. I don't know if anybody did one sentence, but I'll say a bunch of sentences and then y'all pick one. No, I think I'll try to do one sentence. I think my North Star for us, for our sisters, and for all of us, and I try to memorize it, and it doesn't always work, but Frantz Fanon said, each generation out of relative obscurity must fulfill its destiny or betray it. I say that to say, I don't care what you think you're going through. Our grandmamas and great-grandmamas went through much more than that. We have a responsibility to our prodigy. Whatever it is, whatever you think this is on everything, we come from a people that have done much more with much less. And I'll never, take their sacrifice. And I often bring this up in context that my last name is Skinner. And I used to get a little melancholy because not just not having reparations, which we deserve, I want my cash, but they actually destroyed our institutional knowledge of who we are. Our identities were forever irreparably destroyed and Control Alt deleted, where I'll never know who my great-great-grandma. I can do all the DNA. The DNA is not who my grandma. My grandma laughed at certain jokes. She had a favorite color, a favorite food. I'll never know that because of this white supremacist system. And I used to get a little melancholy about that. But then I realized that I may not ever know who she is, but she knows me. And she actually made that sacrifice on everything, not for herself. She made it so that one day that one of her great-great-great-grandson could do something to actually rebuild, create a better world in a better place. So I say that for all of us, that even if we may not ever know, they know us. And they will intercede. They're currently with us. They will continue to intercede on our behalf. They will help us. They will aid us. but we have an obligation. This is not a privilege. We have an obligation for those who come after us to leave a better world than we were found. And our ancestors did the best they could. So whatever flaws that we see in it, for us to even get to some point where we somehow think that this is too much, our ancestors had to get guns and shoot these devils. So I'm saying I'm clear, whatever long conference Zoom call or whatever poll I gotta go stand in or figure out how to fill out a census, if that's the hard time I'm talking about, man, really, on everything, thank you, sisters.
Thank you, Sinclair. I knew you had it. I was like, I'm glad you said I'm gonna go last because I gotta, the wisdom of the group. I love it so much. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the compassion. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing us. Thank you for seeing us. And thank you for sharing that love of Black women tonight. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, brothers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And David, we got one more night, don't we?
Yes, we have one more night. One more night
to tangle the vote. So join us tomorrow at 5:15. We're going to have our Cyber Justice Girls on. Cyber Justice is a internship program we do at Citizen She, where we teach young high school girls how to do digital organizing, and they make videos for change. And they will be interviewed by 491Rosalie Productions about their videos for change around Black girls' hair and voting. Following that, we're going to have our final panel with Black women from the industry. We got some incredible Black women coming on, Black women who do hair for celebrities, Black women from Estee Lauder, all over the place. Professor Wendy Green is going to be back with us, so that'll be an exciting time. And then on Sunday, join us back here at 491Rosalie Productions for a short break where we will be filming our viewing All Skin Folk Ain't Kinfolk by our very own Angela Tucker. Very excited to have Angela come on here and talk to us about Black women building a policy agenda in Louisiana. And then on Wednesday, we're having a Black Girl Debate Watch Party. So it's going to be a Black girl party from now until perpetuity. We're going to celebrate our way to a win because we're going to walk and move. Oh, and we have the video. Let's go. Let's go with the video, Damien.
Girl Emma Jake, and a short break is back. Over the past week, we had a chance to partner with Citizen She on a week called Detangling the Vote, where we brought awareness to Black women's hair as well as Black women voting. Now, this Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. Central Time, we're going to be showing the film All Skin Folk Ain't Kinfolk. Directed by Angela Tucker, the film shows, well, I'll actually let her tell it.
Hi, my name is Angela Tucker. I directed the film All Skin Folk Ain't Kinfolk. It's about a runoff election that happened here in New Orleans between two Black women, and it's told through the eyes of Black women living in the city. It's a short documentary. I'm really excited to show it to you guys and hear what you think and to be on the show. So I'll see you soon.
I love it. I love that movie. I may or may not be in it. So I love that documentary. It's incredible. I think all Black women, especially Black women in Louisiana, need to see it. So we're going to show it, have a discussion with Angela. So y'all join us on Sunday, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And we're going to have a great party with Angela and then prepare for the debate watch party that's going to happen on Wednesday. So join us for all of our events. Thank you for joining us up to this time. And we will see you on the other side. See you tomorrow. Have a good night.